please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back to a Megon 2 Electric Boogaloo. Today we're going to be looking at a video tweeted out by a few people, but it's an interesting one. The video was shared also via Redux. Libs of TikTok had tweeted this with, radical trans activist has meltdown over being dead named in court documents. David, that is the dead name in this instance, a man who identifies as a woman, was arrested after allegedly stalking, harassing and financially exploiting his elderly parents. They eventually had to file a restraining order against him. He also has been accused by a woman of grooming her. Oh, David has also received praise from the media for his anti-Trump and BLM activism. Well, this sounds fascinating already, doesn't it? And the video is fairly lengthy, so we get plenty of context from the individual in the video, who goes by the name Danielle.
Really angry. I just learned something, and I'm kind of speechless, and I just want to capture some of what's going on and talk about this. So I've just learned that with my court case here, they filed the charges in my dead name.
Right off the bat, there could be a problem with this. The obvious one being, if you legally changed your name to Danielle, then there may well be a point that they have incorrectly identified you. If it is simply a social transition and you use a different name but have no legal basis to apply that social change, then they have used your legal name in a legal setting where it is vitally important for the integrity of all cases be held to the highest standard. I think this is important to acknowledge, although I'm not entirely sure what is the case here, but hopefully you'll tell us in this video.
I'm transgender and I use she and her pronouns, and I legally changed my name 6 years ago.
So then the case against you where they've used your name incorrectly, you would have a legal base to have that changed. A legal right, in fact. You should, if you haven't already, speak to your legal counsel and ensure that all records are accurately kept. Danielle.
To Danielle Tatiana Moscato. Came out of the closet 10 years ago. And they filed these charges in my dead name, which is an offensive thing to do, to bring up somebody's dead name for any reason. I mean, you just don't do it. It's transphobic. It's unkind to all trans people.
For the sake of it, I do consider it incredibly disrespectful to use a person's name that is not their correct name anymore. I do agree with that if you have legally changed your name. That is vitally important as a distinction, as opposed to somebody who simply says, by the way, this is my name now. In a vast number of countries on this horrible little space rock, you'll find many countries uphold certain standards when it comes to legals, legality, official, unofficial. Name changing is on there somewhere.
There's no reason to do that.
I think you'll find the internet are going to disagree with you for a whole plethora of reasons. As you've posted this to social media, I'm inclined to believe you know this, but believe yourself above it.
And anyway, so they filed these charges against me in my dead name. And so I was forced to show up in court and use, whatever limited leeway I might have with this judge about this, to mention that I first need some more time to come up with the money to hire an attorney. I have disabilities. I haven't worked in several years. I'm in the process of applying for disability benefits, but it takes 5 years on average, and I'm on year 7, and that's just how long it takes.
This is called a consequence. You, Danielle, were arrested and charged 3 times. 1 count of stealing, 2 counts of harassment. You were identified as an imminent risk to the victim, community, or another person, and were considered also unlikely to appear on a summons. So you were booked at the Boone County Jail as a female detainee. The allegations were that in May of this year, you ambushed your parents while your mother was attending a medical appointment. You live streamed the interaction to your YouTube channel in a video which is still up on the account.
And guess who just pulled up? My parents. So we're going to have a little conversation with them. Could you live stream this?
Of course, I got you.
Yeah, this is just I've got a meeting about my fundraiser concert for the Missouri Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence. There's like that was the weirdest, most uncomfortable, are you?
Yeah, with Shelly.
Mask on. That's why. I don't want you to do this garble thing and scream at me, which is what you would be doing if you weren't in front of them. That's the mask.
You followed your parents through a parking lot while playing an electric guitar. On your own vehicle, you have decals that read, Dr. Moscato is abusive, a reference to your own father, who is an oncologist and one of the founders of the Missouri Cancer Associates in Columbia. You created a website, t-shirts, and other merch to portray your father as a child abuser and domestic abuser. But you weren't done. In January, you advertised that you were going to raise funds to perform a one-woman play on your father titled Dr. Moscato is ABUSIVE, a true story of child ABUSE, police corruption and domestic violence. Yes, I have to say it that way on purpose. In that live stream, your mother retreated to her own vehicle. You stood between her and the car and another parked vehicle and attempted to speak to her through the window. You demanded $10,000 cash in an envelope from your mother via text message, threatening her with consequences if she did not, comply. Fam, you've been shafted by your own presence on YouTube and on TikTok, I might add. You want to beg for time to raise the funds? I'm not surprised, because the only way you ever got funds in the past was by begging your mother and your father for it. The same people you've spent a lifetime dunking on.
And I have a GoFundMe, and I'm trying to raise the money for an attorney, and I said I need some more time. This was very unexpected.
Over the years, Danielle has been known for raising money over GoFundMe, via GoFundMe even, and at one point, years ago, raised over $15,000 to help with many things, to escape parents, but also not. Yes. Something of interest really is that you mentioned in that video an issue with funds. Yet when I showed the video of you accosting your mother, you were playing a Strandberg guitar. Strandberg aren't cheap. They cost over $1,000. You wanted to raise some money, sell some of your expensive gear. Stop begging your audience. Then again, you haven't been that active on YouTube for a while, so I'm going to be inclined to believe you've taken your grift elsewhere.
And second, I apologize for being a stickler about this, but you're dead naming me in these charges. That is not my name. I legally changed my name 6 years ago. This is offensive, aside from inaccurate.
I think it's actually something else. If you have, as you say, legally changed your name, and it is not acknowledged in legal documentation, then you have a legal basis to challenge that for something else. Whether it's offensive or not doesn't really matter. You have them on something allegedly, so why not pursue that?
So I showed up in court, and I had to explain this, and the judge seemed to be okay with it, at least. I brought my ID that has my name, Danielle Tatiana Moscato, on it to show him, and he ordered that they change the name.
Do forgive me if I make the obvious point, but your being incorrectly identified is a massive distraction from what you did that got you into trouble in the first place. And I will say the prosecution and the detectives involved have cocked this up because they've given you an opportunity to sway the judge, to distract, deflect, rather than address the concerns that you are harassing, bullying, and conning your own parents because you're too much of a bum to get a job under the guise of, but I've been applying for disability for years, everyone. For years! When I did a little bit more of a dig on you, I realised why you have a Kiwi farm thread. Let's not forget here, last year you wanted to get a manager fired for not telling a woman to wear a mask right, and you got a woman thrown out of a woman's shelter so that you could take her place.
And I know that the detective knows that I'm trans. Now I know with 100% certainty that the prosecutor does too, because she was right there when I said this. So the judge ordered that they change the name on the filing, and they did. And I just found out they changed it to Danielle, which is my new first name, Brian, which is my dead name, middle name, Moscato, which hasn't changed.
Firstly, you clearly have not indicated in this video whether you specified your middle name as well. Second, and this one baffles me a little bit, you are constantly at war with your parents, the Moscato family, right? Yet you are going to keep that name anyway. I'm somewhat impressed. I know many people who were raised in homes that were not ideal. I'm going to call it that rather than say the full word. It's an obvious one. Who would then go on to change their last name, either to start a new life with that new name or to distance themselves from those that wronged them. I guess a small part of me had thought perhaps your reason for keeping the name was so that when your parents passed away, you could guarantee your slice of the action.
So they made up a third name that is neither the name that the judge ordered them to change it to, nor my actual legal name, Danielle Tatiana Moscata. They changed it to my dead name for my middle name, my new first name for my first name, my actual first name, that is my legal first name, and my last name. And I'm so pissed. Like,
I understand your annoyance, but I would think, and a piece of advice for you, Danielle, would be to focus on the charges against you, raise the money you need to raise for legal counsel, and deal with this issue rather than hyper-focus on that. I get the importance of identity, but the legal aspect puts you at risk of prison. It really does. You and your parents do not have a very good relationship, and I don't know who's in the right or wrong. I really don't. All I know is you keep going back, which shows a level of obsession. Let's not ignore the fact that you have extorted and you have lied on accounts that they then have had to pay for to the tune of thousands. None of this makes you look good. Prison seems inevitable, really.
They were told to fix this because this is insulting and offensive to trans people and inaccurate. And they didn't. They fucked it up again. There's no way they're this incompetent. I mean, there's no way. You don't dead name somebody twice by accident in writing. After you're told, fix this, we might get sued.
Unless specifically ordered to ensure that all details are absolute accurate, they're going to go with the information available, and maybe there is a chance, I'm not trying to blame you, that you did not specify entire name, you specified forename. I don't really care for middle names, I have one, it means nothing to me. But I understand again the importance of a full name for an individual, but again, keep saying that, it is a big distraction from you to deflect from the charges you are facing. Quite important charges, I might add. Let's not forget here, stealing and harassment. You stole from your own family because you're too lazy to get a job, which you instead blame on the government and officials not sorting out your disability.
I'm so angry. There's no way this is an accident. They're sending me a message that I cannot expect fair treatment in this courtroom as a trans woman.
I'll be honest, I've always held the belief that justice should be blind. However, we have the evidence publicly. On your channel, you harassed your mother. They will undoubtedly have bank statements confirming you misusing their money in their accounts so you could buy your friend's takeaway. And don't forget here, you demanded 10 grand cash in an envelope from your mother via a text message threatening consequences if she didn't comply. You'll get a fair trial, but the evidence against you is resounding.
That they do not care that they're being offensive to trans people and to me personally. They want to send me a message that I am not going to be treated fairly here because I'm trans. That they are okay in writing with insulting me as a trans woman because f*** you, that's why.
This is where the video ends. I firmly believe you're going to be found guilty. Why? Because I've seen the live stream. You harassed your own mother. You brought a guitar along. Did you think you were Slash playing the November Rain solo? When in reality, you looked like a pudgy metalhead, wishing they could play as well as Brian May. You are an internet lolcow, and I find you fascinating because you're not the most active individual at the moment. In fact, you haven't been really for a while, and it's fascinating to me to see this. Obviously, you have health problems, and that's understandable. They would inhibit your ability to bleed your audience. Not something I can support in the slightest. But hey, if you're willing to give Danielle that kind of money, 15 grand in the past for other legal issues, some of which was given to, I believe, some trans charities, then you totally have time to monetarily benefit my channel. Yup, or just smash the like, whichever's easiest. Ta-ta everyone.